We're going to talk about this whole Shedeur Sanders, Shilo Sanders, Deion Sanders debacle slash clown show that's been happening. I'm just tired of hearing about it, man. From a sports perspective, like following sports, it's exhausting, man. I'm tired of hearing about it. This whole thing. I'm going to talk about it from the point of how Deion, how he handled this, he went about this the wrong way, to how racism is involved. I'm gonna cover everything. So we're gonna start with Deion Sanders, right? Now, a lot of people saying, hey, the Mannings did the same thing Deion Sanders did. And the argument definitely can be made that Deion Sanders is way greater and better than Eli Manning's father, grandfather was. But that's not the case here. The point is, this is the point that a lot of people don't understand, or Deion didn't take into consideration. See, he thought, and this is just my assumption, Deion Sanders thought that who he was going to trump what is reality. And what reality is the NFL is a sports organization, entertainment organization, that is owned by predominantly white men. Ran by white men in America. Yes, I'm going there. In America, people. In America. He thought who he was and what he accomplished in sports was going to make him or put him on the same level of Eli Manning's father. In the same situation where they told teams, my son's not going here. Deion thought he had the same ability to do that. And you in America, here's the thing. This is the thing with a lot of these black athletes. They seem to forget that they in America because they play sports, and because sports has granted them certain things in life. They tend to forget that they still black in America. That the corporate and sometimes power structure in America is still built off of racism. They tend to forget that, and he forgot that. So his arrogance was right. He was right to be arrogant about his son, because his son is that good. But you're not realizing you trying to get your son drafted. You trying to get your son drafted to the NFL to be one of the top quarterbacks in the country. I mean, think about that. And he failed to realize, taking the confident, arrogant route that he did when he was getting drafted, he couldn't do that for his son. You couldn't do that for him. And he failed to realize that. And what did his son do? He went in interviews. And there's nothing wrong with being confident. But you trying to get, this is just like a job. This is a job for him. You trying to get a job. So let's just say he didn't rub people the wrong way. It's still the fact that you coming into these interviews with the assumption, leaving people with the assumption that, oh, if I don't want to go here, I'm not going there. I mean, think about that. This was what Deion Sanders was saying. We gonna choose where they go. Where him and Travis Hunter went. We gonna dictate where they go. You a black man in America. Don't nobody give a damn that you a Hall of Fame player. Nobody give a damn that you are a Hall of Fame player. One of the greatest players ever. Nobody give a damn about that. You a black man in America, and you telling billionaire owners of white sports teams that you gonna dictate where your son is gonna play in their league? What the hell was Deion Sanders thinking doing that crap? Now your son was drafted in the 5th, 6th round to one of the worst sports organizations in this country, in the world, the Cleveland Browns. What the hell was he thinking? What was Deion Sanders thinking with some of the things he was saying before the draft even happened? Everybody knew Shedeur Sanders was going to be a top 5 pick. Everybody knew that. The game tape showed it. But of course, again, a black man in America, overly confident, and your son is the same as you, of course they was gonna try to make an example out of him. That's what happens in this country. When you a black man and you confident in any type of workspace, of course that's gonna bother people. Of course. And that's what happened to Shedeur Sanders. Now he's on the outside looking in on the depth chart in Cleveland, Ohio, people. The Cleveland Browns, one of the worst sports organizations in the world. And here's the thing, social media, people are acting, this is the thing, right? When you look at a lot of people who cover sports, who cover football on social platforms, if you look at a lot of white America that covers sports, that covers football, a lot of them are using the same talking points. Oh, he's not that good. Oh, y'all doing all this over a six rounder. Oh, what did y'all expect? He was drafted this late in the draft. See, they'll do this. White Americans will do this. Especially in football and sports. They know damn well that he was good enough to go top 5, and it was collusion for him to go in the late rounds to make an example out of him. But because they hate him and his father so much, they'll completely ignore that and literally try to use the talking point of him being drafted where he was as saying, no, he was drafted where he was because that's where he belonged. Because he wasn't good to be drafted in the other rounds, which they know isn't true. But because they can't stand his confidence or what they perceive as arrogance, they're going to downplay him any chance they get. And it happens all the time in sports, especially in sports. Jalen Hurts just won the damn Super Bowl and Super Bowl MVP. And what's the talk about Jalen Hurts? The talk about Jalen Hurts is what? The talk about Jalen Hurts is he ain't that good. People are literally saying Jalen Hurts is not a top 10 quarterback in the National Football League. And he just won Super Bowl MVP and went to back-to-back Super Bowls, people. Think about how crazy that is. So, of course, Shedeur Sanders, a guy who was a monster in college that fell to the 5th, 6th round because of politics, they're going to say, well, yeah, he fell to that round because he just ain't that good. Even though they watched the game tape and literally seen how good he was in college, they'll still go with the notion that he's not that good. And that's just how it is in America, people. That's how it is here. That's how it is here. So Shedeur, unfortunately, he got a tough road ahead because his home is not in Cleveland. His home is not in Cleveland. Unfortunately, his home is not in Cleveland. You know, there's a lot of bad teams that need quarterbacks, but who's willing to take the risk? It's not even a risk with him, but who's willing to take the shot on him? They all passed on him in the draft. I mean, really think about that. I mean, think about the teams that passed on him. The New Orleans Saints. Terrible at the quarterback position right now. I mean, think about that. Terrible. The Colts. Terrible quarterback position. Who else is terrible right now at the quarterback position? Hell, half the damn league, if we're being honest. But I mean, it's bad, people. It's real bad, you know. And unfortunately, you know, the kid. Well, he's not a kid, but the young man, you know, it's gonna be a tough climb going forward for him, because listen, a lot of teams could have used Shedeur Sanders. A lot of teams could have used him. Unfortunately, you know, politics got involved. And see, the thing that bothers me, and I'm gonna be real, man. I'm gonna be real with y'all. It bothered me. It really bothered me that Deion just couldn't shut the hell up. And I know some of y'all might say, Well, why should he have to shut up? It's not that he had to shut up. It's the fact that he didn't understand you are a black man in America, and you're trying to dictate the power structure of a company or organization that you have no control in. That's the thing that bothered me. Had Deion played this right, the only talking point he would have had about Shedeur is, I'm getting my son prepared to potentially go top 10, top 5 in the NFL draft, and I can't wait to see what he do. That's the kind of response you give when you know the power structure is already against you. But he had to go the route of, hey, listen, we're gonna dictate where we play. What was you thinking as a black man in America saying some shit like that, man? Now you sabotage your son's whole career, or at least the start of it, because he wouldn't shut the hell up and just let the cards play out. All he had to do is just shut up, let the cards play out. But he opened his mouth against a power structure that he has no control over, no control in. But that's what happens when you forget what you are. That's what happens when you forget who you are. Them blinders come on, and you forget the world you live in. And when it's too late, these are the type of things that happen. Your son gets punished for it. They not punishing Shedeur, or they didn't punish Shedeur for him being him. They punished Shedeur for Deion opening his mouth and saying the things he said. And that's the problem. So hopefully this young man, he gonna get a chance, because somebody unfortunately gonna go down and he gonna get his chance. Everybody know he's talented. Everybody knows that. But it's just exhausting hearing all these takes, these horrible takes about him, these horrible takes about his character. It's all bush. The NFL know that. The coaches know that. They turned it into a clown show. They know they did. But that's the world we live in. That's the country we live in. You can't be a black man in America in a organization like the NFL and think you're gonna dictate how these white billionaires spend their money. You can't. Unless you part of that club and you a billionaire yourself, sitting side by side with them. But when you trying to gain employment for your kids, and Shilo, like, bro, what was you thinking, man? You undrafted, bro. You undrafted. You let a dude that probably ain't gonna make the team either get in your head, lose your cool, then you get cut. Now you and your brother on the outside looking in. And the media eating it up. Look at that. Deion Sanders, both his sons, one just got cut, throwing punches. The other one outside looking in on the depth chart. And it all could have been avoided. All of it could have been avoided. This is a lesson to black men in America. When it's not you whose career that's on the line, don't try to speak for your kids when they trying to get into something. That's like talking to the dean of a school and telling them, yeah, this is what's gonna happen with my son when he does this or does that. It's the equivalent of what Deion Sanders did. And that dean of that school that's been there for over 200 years looking at you like, you think you gonna dictate to me What your son gonna do at this school? What he not gonna do? Deny entry. Crazy, man.